Just say your name and how old you're going to be.
39. My birthday's the 4th, 5, and 22. I've been going to First Church of God, which is now the Cross Point, for 52 years.
Did you have a favorite candy?
Black House suckers. That used to be all you could get. Mom would send us to the store to get a loaf of bread. She'd give us 10 cents. We got a loaf of bread for 10 cents. And sometimes if she had to give us a little bit more, some pennies was left. It tickled us to death because she'd say we could pick us up some penny candy. I bought me a guitar, and I was 12 years old. I worked at a dairy on Saturday for 50 cents and saved money, and I ordered my guitar from Allen's catalog, Alden's, and I learned to play My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean. And then by that time I left home though and come to Raleigh County, and I was 14 years old, and I've been here ever since. I bought me material and had me a pretty red dress made. And Mom hated that dress because, you know, they talked about women back then if they wore red. And I loved that dress. But whenever I come up here and went back one time to get the rest of my clothes, I asked where my red dress was. I loved that red dress. And she didn't know nothing about that red dress either. I know she got rid of it because she didn't like it. And now I wear red when I want to. I didn't understand, to tell you the truth. I thought that you had to be a good person before the Lord would accept you. And I just kept putting it off and putting it off. And I had good friends. Josephine Thomas was one of them. And she told me, said, Geneva, your life would be much happier if you would become a Christian. Well, I let that go through one ear and out the other. But I kept going. I seemed like I just still wanted to go. Every time I'd go, I'd get real nervous. And I didn't know what was wrong with me. A dummy. Anyway, I said to her one day, I said, Josephine, I said, I want to tell you something I don't understand. I said, every time I come to church, I get real nervous and I start shaking. And she said, oh, Geneva, said, the Lord's working with you. They was giving altar calls every Sunday. But this one day, 2 men come to my door. And I told them to come in. They told me where they's from, Mount Tabor Church. They's having a revival. Well, they wanted to know if they could talk to me, and I said yes. I knowed I was willing then, and I wanted to accept the Lord while I was willing, you know. We sat down at the kitchen table, and they talked to me, and I accepted the Lord. When I feel terrible and like nobody cares, I go to the Lord in prayer, and it really helps me.
Tell us a little bit about when Pap got saved, when your husband got saved.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us that.
Like I said, he was good as gold. A lot of women would come in and say, my husband locked the door on me last night, wouldn't let me come in because I went to church and they didn't want me going. And I thought, Lord, how good Pap is. He just, anything I could do for the church, he would tell me to go on. Said, I'll be here in my shop working. You've got your things to do, and I've got my things to do. He got cancer of the brain. He was operated on for cancer of the brain. He come home one day, and he wanted to talk about it. So I just let him talk. I never pushed. I never told him, you know, that he needed to do this or needed to do that. I thought, the Lord's working with you, and that's all it takes. Every morning he'd get up and come in the kitchen, and he'd say, honey, I've got so many more days. Dr. Larson told me I'd live 50 to 100 days. And he'd tell me exactly the date. And my sister was here. She's a Christian. She had talked to him and said, yeah, Pap, said, you really need to know the Lord. And this one day, I was sitting, I had been in the yard working. Oh, I was hot. I'd come in the house and got me a glass of lemonade. And he was coming through here on his walker. And he come out the door, and he just sat down in the chair, and he started to bawl, and oh, he bellered. And I jumped and hugged him and told him, I said, honey, what's wrong? What's wrong? And he said, oh, honey, come go with me. And as he's going over there, he's holding to things and getting down on his knees. And when he did that, I knowed what was happening. And he cried and begged the Lord to forgive him. Said he can't understand what I'm saying. I said, honey, your heart is telling the Lord how you feel. And I said, you just tell him how you feel and you want to be saved. So he did. And I prayed with him, and we got up. We hugged, and we cried, And after that, he'd get up every morning. He'd say, honey, I'm going to meet my Jesus in a few more days. That's what he'd say. And you know, he had the date to exactly the 50 days. So after that, I felt good about everything. I know the Lord knowed his heart.